This is a true story of a remarkable young baseball team faced with an incredibly difficult decision. The team comes face to face with racial prejudice. The boys on the team have to make a choice. Do they continue to fight for victory without Bunny on their team? Or do they stand up for loyalty, equality, and respect by refusing to play? The title of our story is A Home Run for Bunny by Richard Anderson, illustrated by Gerald Purnell. Illumination Arts Publishing Company from Bellevue, Washington. I never liked Bunny Taliaferro. How could you with a name like Bunny? He wasn't even Italian. His real name was Ernest, but everyone called him Bunny because all he did was run everywhere. To and from school, on errands for his mom and dad. He even ran around the block while waiting for his friends to come out and play. Yes, Bunny could run fast. He could throw too. When we were only 8, I saw him hurl a snowball from across his backyard to keep a squirrel from stealing the birdseed. Bunny's first baseball mitt was the old-fashioned kind with 3 fingers. His mom had to stuff it with rags and lace it back up before he could use it. An old tire his dad hung from a tree in their backyard became Bunny's first strike zone. I was as good a pitcher as Bunny, but he was the one who made history. At Springfield Tech, he became the first freshman ever to earn a varsity letters in football, basketball, and baseball. And Bunny didn't just letter, he was the star. When our schools met in the city football championship, Bunny rushed for more yards than all our running backs combined. We'd never seen anyone who could run so fast. Even the newspapers started calling him Bunny. Bunny 21, Cathedral 7, read the headline. Bunny was the youngest player on his basketball squad, but that didn't stop him from scoring more points than anyone else on the team. He also led the league in steals. 4 of them came off me in one game. But baseball was Bunny's specialty. Throwing strikes came as easy to him as hurling hardballs through that old tire in his backyard. As a freshman, he went undefeated and pitched a complete game every time he took the mound. When he wasn't pitching, Bunny played center field and batted over 400. He had more hits, scored more runs, and stole more bases than anyone else on the team. The only thing he didn't do was strike out. Baseball was my specialty too, and though my team wasn't as good as Bunny's, we won every game I pitched. When the school season ended, we were both picked for the American Legion All-Star team. Who would have guessed we'd wind up wearing the same colors after competing against each other for so many times? Both of us pitched really well all summer, but I had to warm the bench between my starts while Bunny made a name for himself playing center field. With his amazing speed, he was able to catch balls other outfielders could never have reached. He also threw out a lot of base runners who normally would have been safe. I hated to admit it, but Bunny really was the better athlete. Our team lost only once all summer, and it was one of the games I pitched. Wouldn't you know it? After taking the league title, we sailed through the Massachusetts Championship Series, with Bunny tossing shutouts in both games. Bunny pitched another shutout in the opening game of the New England Championship Series. Along with stroking 2 home runs and stealing 6 bases, he even picked off a runner at third, How often have you seen a pitcher do that? The next day I did something Bunny never did. Allow only 4 hits and 1 walk in an 11-inning shutout. Next up, the Eastern Regionals in Gastonia, North Carolina. When we boarded the train with Coach Steer and our team manager, Mr. Harris, we were all a little nervous, but also very excited. None of us had ever traveled so far from home before. All I knew about North Carolina was that it was south of Massachusetts. We knew something was wrong just after the train pulled into Gastonia. The band that had been playing walked off as soon as they saw Bunny step onto the platform. Then the bus pulled away, leaving us stranded. We had to carry our bags and equipment all the way to the hotel. When we got to the hotel, the manager told Mr. Harris, "Colored folks ain't allowed to sleep here, so we've arranged for your boy to stay with the local Negro doctor." "Bunny is a member of this team," Mr. Harris replied. "Where the team goes, he goes." At this point, an official from the American Legion spoke up. "Since this law doesn't include servants, can't the boy be registered as the coach's valet?" "Bunny is not a servant," Coach Steer growled. "He's going to be treated like every other member of this team." "Then he'll have to sleep in your room on a cot," the manager insisted. "We can't have no colored boy sleeping in no bed for white people." Bunny looked like he wanted to sink through the cracks in the floor. "I don't want to cause any trouble," he mumbled. "You're not the one causing trouble," Mr. Harris fumed. "You deserve to sleep in a real bed just like everyone else." That afternoon, we held our first practice. More than 2,000 people showed up to watch. That was a bigger crowd than we'd had at all the games back home put together. And were they mad, steaming. "You boys done played your last game," one man shouted. Others threatened to tear the shirts off our backs if Bunny even stepped onto the field. One usher told me that the Ku Klux Klan was planning to kidnap us from the hotel, and our families would never hear from us again. Some of the boys were really scared. I was too. Baseball wasn't worth getting killed over. At the same time, something deep inside me wanted to prove that we could beat any team in the tournament. Bunny was the first to make a move. He grabbed his bat, stepped up to the plate, and started taking cuts at imaginary pitches. When Coach Steer told us to take our positions on the field, for once I was glad to be warming the bench. More threats and jeers filled the air as Coach made his way to the mound. "Batter up," he called. Bunny lined the first pitch over the left field fence. That silenced the crowd, but only for a second. Coach Steer threw his second pitch, and Bunny airmailed that one out of the park too. Special delivery to the people of Gastonia. The more noise the crowd made, the smoother Bunny swung. He hit 6 home runs on 6 pitches. That's when it started raining soda bottles, tin cans, and half-eaten hot dogs. More trouble greeted us when we got back to the hotel. The teams from Maryland and Florida announced that they wouldn't play against us if Bunny was allowed on the field. We also found out that we couldn't go to the welcome banquet if Bunny was with the team. To make matters worse, the American Legion official didn't think the police would be able to protect us from the crowds. "Your boy is the only Negro player in the tournament," he told Mr. Harris. "What if he hits a batter with a pitch? What if he slides into somebody trying to steal a base?" "What if Bunny pitches a no-hitter?" Mr. Harris snapped back. "What if he scores the winning run?" That evening, Coach Steer called another team meeting. He gave it to us straight. You have a decision to make. You can either play without Bunny, or you can pack your bags and go home. If you leave now, the national finals in Chicago are out. The choice is yours. Tony King, our team captain, spoke first. Bunny had broken every one of Tony's records from the summer before, but he didn't hesitate. There is no choice. Bunny is a member of this team. If he doesn't play, neither do I. I knew what could have pitched us to victory in Gastonia, but I also voted to go home. So did every other player. Bunny came through for us all summer long, and now it was our turn to do the same for him. That night, we snuck out of the hotel and caught a train heading north. It had to make a special stop just for us. Bunny was the first to speak. I know you guys wanted that championship as bad as I did, but having teammates like you is more important than winning any old ball game. You guys aren't just teammates, you're friends. The best friends anyone could ever have. News of what had happened in North Carolina reached Springfield before we did. When the train pulled into Union Station, a huge crowd, even bigger than the one in Gastonia, was waiting to greet us. The people cheered wildly and held up signs calling us heroes and champs. Flashbulbs lit up the night like fireworks. Looking back now, nothing we did on any ball field compares to what we did on August 23rd, 1934. Long before anyone had ever heard of Jackie Robinson, a team of 15-year-old kids from Springfield, Massachusetts, chose loyalty and respect over championships. Without swinging a single bat, we'd hit a home run, not just for Bunny, but for people everywhere. Bunny Taliaferro was not just a great athlete. He was a remarkable human being who inspired everyone around him. Today, a monument honoring Bunny, his teammates, and their historic response to racism stands beside the baseball field in Springfield's Forest Park. Thank you, boys and girls. Thank you, Illumination Arts Publishing Company. And if you like this story, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.